This is the Voice of Africa News.
Welcome to Voice of Africa News, your trusted source for accurate and up-to-date news from across the continent. If you're visiting us for the first time, please like, share, and subscribe to stay informed and connected to the real stories shaping Africa. Your support helps keep our voice strong. Disclaimer: the content in this video is based on credible, publicly available sources, official statements, and other verified online materials. It is meant for educational, informational, and analytical purposes only. We do not promote hate, violence, misinformation, or political unrest. Our goal is to provide meaningful insight into current events, highlight local perspectives, and encourage informed discussion throughout Africa. Traore launches Job Factory with symbolic groundbreaking ceremony in Bamako. Bamako, May 27, 2025, in a bold step toward economic empowerment and youth employment. President Traore officially launched the Job Factory project today in Bamako. Marking the occasion, he laid the foundation stone at the future site of the facility, signaling the start construction for what is expected to become a major industrial and vocational hub in Mali. The Job Factory initiative is designed to address high youth unemployment by providing vocational training, industrial workspaces, and job placement programs. It aims to empower young Malians with practical skills aligned with the demands of the local and regional labor markets. This is more than just a factory. It's a platform for hope, growth, and innovation, said Traore during his keynote address. We are laying the foundation not only for a building, but for a future where our youth are equipped, our economy is stronger, and our country is more self-reliant. Located in the industrial zone on the outskirts of Bamako, the Job Factory will include training centers, production units, and spaces for local entrepreneurs. The project is being implemented in partnership with public and private sector stakeholders, including international development agencies and local business leaders. Once completed, the Job Factory is projected to create over 1,000 direct jobs and several thousand indirect employment opportunities. It will also host apprenticeship programs in trades such as carpentry, metalwork, textiles, agribusiness, and digital technologies. Construction is set to begin immediately, with operations expected to commence in early 2026. The launch of Job Factory marks a key milestone in the government's broader strategy for economic transformation and youth empowerment.
Pour accueillir le président du Faso. Ces travailleurs de la société nouvelle en entrance SA témoignent ainsi leur reconnaissance au capitaine Traoré pour avoir sauvé leur emploi. Depuis juillet 2024, cette société de transformation d'anacarde avait cessé ses activités à cause des difficultés financières, ce qui a poussé des milliers d'employés au chômage technique. Aujourd'hui, grâce à la vision du développement industriel impulsée par le chef de l'État, les machines tournent à nouveau à plein régime.
Excellence, Monsieur le Président, vous avez consenti et mis en œuvre des actions fortes et concrètes qui font de la SNA Trans une usine à capitaux burkinabé, de droit burkinabé au service du Burkina Faso. Dirigée par de jeunes burkinabés expérimentés et visionnaires pour un Burkina prospère, fier et libre. L'État du Burkina Faso, à travers le Fonds burkinabé de développement économique,
From city centers to school curriculums, from museums to monuments, the legacy of European imperialism is not just preserved, it is often glorified. Across the continent, figures responsible for conquest, colonization, and systemic violence continue to be honored as national heroes. In Belgium, a statue of King Leopold II still stands, despite overwhelming evidence of atrocities committed under his reign in the Congo, where millions perished under forced labor and brutal rule. In Spain, Christopher Columbus remains a symbol of exploration and pride, even as many around the world remember him as a harbinger of genocide and enslavement. This pattern is not isolated. European cities are filled with tributes to figures like Napoleon, Cecil Rhodes, and others whose legacies include war, exploitation, and racial subjugation. Museums continue to house artifacts taken during colonial campaigns, while calls for repatriation are often met with reluctance. Some argue that removing statues or renaming streets erases history. But critics say the real issue is not erasure, it is selective memory. Whose version of history are we honoring? And at what cost? Dr. Amina Doumbia, a historian, explains that Europe's cultural institutions are filled with stolen artifacts. She says this is less about preserving culture and more about celebrating theft. Meanwhile, cultural commentator Lars Mikkelsen points out that when nations continue to venerate colonizers in public spaces, it signals endorsement, not neutrality. While a few places have begun to acknowledge these uncomfortable truths by contextualizing monuments or opening dialogues on reparations, many continue to resist change. National pride, it seems, still often outweighs historical accountability. But as global awareness grows, so too does the call for honest reckoning. Confronting history doesn't mean forgetting it. It means recognizing that remembering atrocities as triumphs does not honor the past. It distorts it. For now, the statues remain, but so does the conversation.
Europeans don't hide their crimes. They commemorate them. They don't regret empire. They sculpt it in granite, name streets after it, fund scholarships in its name, and build museums to house the spoils. Every colonial war has a parade. Every massacre has a statue. Every genocide heir has a stamp. Every mass theft gets filed under cultural heritage. Leopold II turned the Congo into a labor camp, where forced rubber quotas mutilated children and burned villages to ash. They gave him 17 statues, named tunnels, boulevards, and entire parks after him. Napoleon re-enslaved Haitians, re-invaded the Caribbean, and launched wars that killed millions across Europe and North Africa. France buried him under golden domes and named entire cities after him. Columbus kick-started centuries of genocide, enslavement, and biological warfare. They gave him a U.S. holiday, over 100 statues, and named entire countries and capitals after him. Cecil Rhodes massacred the Matabele people, seized land by force, and laid the foundations for apartheid. Oxford still hands out Rhodes scholarships. His name still sits on colleges, streets, and foundations. They named British destroyers after Queen Victoria, while she presided over the Indian famines that killed tens of millions. They put Edward Colston, slave trader, mass trafficker, on pedestals in Bristol until 2020. They put Francisco Pizarro, who butchered the Inca, in the center of Lima. They built Trafalgar Square to glorify a naval war that preserved slavery. They celebrate the Spanish Reconquista, a 700-year ethnic cleansing campaign, with festivals, flags, and cathedrals built over raised mosques. The British Empire celebrates Victoria Day in Canada. Belgium still has Leopold monuments intact and cleaned. The Dutch still celebrate Golden Age painters who profited off the transatlantic slave trade. Portugal celebrates Vasco da Gama as a national hero, while ignoring his execution of Muslim prisoners in Mombasa. They literally celebrate Australia Day on the anniversary of indigenous dispossession. They name entire cities after slavers: Rhodesia, Georgetown, Kingstown, Jamestown, Victoria, Elmina, Port Louis. They put plantations on the back of currency. They hold royal jubilees funded by taxes taken from colonized peoples. They filmed the crown while Britain was deporting Caribbean elders. They wrote children's books about kings' armies who starved Bengal, flattened Kenya, and torched Sudanese cities. They hung Haitian revolutionaries, then named streets after the men who sent the hangmen. They installed apartheid, then named universities after the architects. They erased the dead, then kept their teeth in museum drawers. They erased indigenous languages, then gave schools Latin mottos. They desecrated sacred land, then declared the ruins UNESCO sites. They put generals on horsebacks in town squares, men who bombed, gassed, hanged, and whipped their way across 3 continents. They call their loot collections. They call their massacres missions. They call their propaganda curriculum. They call the blood-soaked timelines the Enlightenment. They call the criminals founding fathers. They celebrate the French foreign nation born out of Algeria's colonization. They celebrate the Boer Wars, which pioneered concentration camps. They celebrate World War I without mentioning African and Asian soldiers forced to die for empires that called them beasts. They handed out OBEs, MBEs, and CBEs, literally Order of the British Empire, in 2025. They still knight people in the name of empire. The British Museum, the Louvre, the Vatican, the Pergamon, the V&A, they are all crime scenes with coat checks. Their archives are full of confessions labeled as classified. Their holidays are national amnesia rituals. Their statues are granite lies. Their textbooks are sanitized murder. Europe doesn't teach history. It curates alibi. It displays the stolen bones. It polishes the swords. It sells gift shop postcards of the crimes. This isn't collective forgetting. It's institutional pride. Cope.
That's it from us at Voice of Africa News, your trusted source for stories that shape our continent. If you found this update valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stay informed, stay connected, and be part of the conversation as we bring you the latest updates from every corner of Africa. Until next time, keep your voice strong and keep it African.